Guys, Mark from Crankworks Bicycles. Today we're gonna continue talking bike packing, and we're gonna talk some gear. I'm a gear junkie. I absolutely have to try the latest, greatest. I love checking out gear, and for me, one of the things that I've loved having different versions of was my bike packing stoves. There's a lot of different stoves out there. I don't have all the stoves actually represented here because there's some stoves that just, to me, are not going to, they just don't look interesting to me. So there's different uses, different purposes. What are you looking to do? What type of food are you looking to cook? A lot of bike packers default to just having boil in a bag meals. And, so these little tiny rocket stoves are great for just boiling up water. This one here, this is a pretty cool stove. This is from Optimus. I really like this stove. It's pretty small, compact. And that guy right there boils water really crazy fast. But if you want to cook something inside your pot, it doesn't do the simmer as well as some of the other stoves. This is actually the stove that I use the most. It's an Esbit alcohol stove, so I can actually choke the flame down. I can put the flame out, but I can get a long cook time with that. And that stove is pretty neat. So it's got different things here that go with the stove. So the stove ends up sitting inside there, and then it's got a pot stand. This system also comes with a solid fuel. If you want to use the solid fuel tabs instead of carrying the alcohol stove, you can put this guy down in the bottom and put a solid fuel tab down in here and use the solid fuel tab. The solid fuel tab, they're okay. You can't really control the flame. It's just whatever flame you get, is what you got. With the alcohol stove, I can have a raging flame, or I can choke that flame down to a really tiny simmer. This here is a really cool stove as well. If I'm just doing a really short overnight and I want to cook more real food, I actually use this little alcohol stove. It's actually one of my favorite little stoves. And the reason that is I can actually bake. I can choke that stove down to a real slow, slow would-be simmer. So you put a little bit of water in your pan, you have this little ring, and you do a pot inside of a pot. Well, I can actually bake a small little loaf of bread. And then it has a cloth to a windbreak. For the Esbit, I had to make my own little windbreak. I just did some aluminum foil to block the wind. So 3 different types of stoves shown here. Just depends on your cooking fancy, what you're looking to do. I do like my titanium pot. I actually typically, whatever stove I use, I actually typically take my titanium pot, unless I'm cooking in my pot. If you cook in your pot, you're gonna find that titanium has a hot spot. The pot doesn't heat evenly, whereas like this here, this pot heats very evenly. So cooking inside this pot, if you actually have like a can of beans or something, like you were able to stop at a store and get something other than a boil in a bag, this cooks much more evenly. Aluminum seems to cook pretty even, but so here's some stove breakdowns. They're all pretty small. This probably is the smallest of them all, the way it breaks down and the way that this pot is. And if I do boil in bags, this is what I'm typically going to take. But if I'm cooking some real food or something, I'm typically going to take my alcohol stove so I can control my flame better. So hopes this helped, guys. If you have any questions about stoves and bike packing stoves or bike packing gear in general, and you want to see a video on it, just leave us a comment. Thanks.